Okay, so now that we've built a rig, let's go and explore the proper way to set up a file, to use a rig, and how to do a quick animation with it, just to kind of see if our life's easier or not. So make sure you save your rig out if you have not yet. I already have. And I'm going to come up here and just create a new scene. So file, new scene. And we're going to bring this in through something called a reference. So when we bring in a reference, what we're doing is we're basically telling Maya to look somewhere else to link in a file. This is commonly done with rigs. It's the ideal way to do it. It does use a Maya project hierarchy, so you guys need to be working in that project hierarchy if you haven't been. But the idea is we can come into our scene folder, and we can go into our folder called rigs, and we can take this and we can bring this into our various sets that we're going to animate. So when you think of a movie and you see 3D characters, they don't create a new model and character for every scene. Everyone's actually using the exact same character, and using references, they can link it up to their specific files. Not just that, but references can still be changed after the fact. So if you wanted to change something about the ball's color, if we wanted to change the ball's geometry, if we wanted to change the ball's rig, we could do all those things and it would update inside of our file. So we could come in here and go to File. We can come into a Create Reference menu here and just click on that. This will open up our Scenes folder and we can navigate. I'll double click into Ball here, go into Rig, and select my latest rig file, which is my O1. And then I can go ahead and click Reference in the corner there to create our reference into our scene. And what you will see here now is we have the ball, we have the rig. You might have to hit the 6 key again, but it is now in our scene and it is ready to go. I can then come up here to File, Save Scene As, and I'm just going to put this into my animation folder, and I'll name this Rig Test. And we're ready to go. Now, just to show how flexible this is, let's open up our ball rig again and make some sort of a change to it. So I'll come into this ball rig here. And let's maybe give our ball a hat. I'll go ahead and give it a cylinder here and place that on top, and then duplicate it again and scale this up and make it a bit thicker. We're going with a top hat, by the way. Probably should have mentioned that. It's running for mayor. We could even assign a new material to this if we want. We could give it a blend. We could come over here, make it darker. Might as well. Oops. And good practice with modeling. We haven't talked about this yet, but now that we know how to do it, you can freeze transform. And if you have multiple objects like I do here, you can modify freeze transform. That will go ahead and freeze these. So modify freeze transform. I could also group these, Control G, and I could actually stick these in my rig. So I could actually put this under my squash and stretch scale here. And since I set it up this way, you'll see that the squash and stretch scale actually affects the hat. Pretty cool. Now I'm not going to keep that, but just for the sake of demonstration, let's go ahead and save this. And you'll see this is in the actual rig file. If I go back to the animation file and we check out the rig test, you'll see it also updated in here. So that's a really powerful thing about references is whatever update occurs, it's going to show up in that person's file. So if you're working as a team, this can be very useful, but also if you're working individually and you need to make some sort of a change, you realized, oh, I need to add another control, or, oh, maybe this control is not quite working. We could set that up after the fact as long as we set it up this way. Now I'm going to get rid of my hat. If you would like to keep your character's hat around, feel free to. I'm just going to make mine a boring old ball here, and we'll be good to go. But use references whenever you are working with a rig, all right? Okay, so let's go ahead and set up the same exact animation we did before. We're going to do a 24 frame render. So just kind of reviewing, I'm going to come down here to the range slider. I'm going to go ahead and change this down to 24. Remember that we need to set our time. So I'm going to go to frame 1 here. I'm going to select the top of the ball rig, which is going to be our main control. And I'm going to hit the S key to keyframe all of its attributes along here. Now from here, I can come to frame 12 and I can move it into the air. I'm going to hit W to move into the air, move it up, and I'll just hit S key to set a solid keyframe there. And then coming to frame 24, I can just set Y down to 0 and hit the S key now, and we'll have this bouncing in place. So you'll see now it'll be moving up and down. Now to get the squash and stretch in here, we can do the exact same thing we did before. I had it squash a little and then stretch a little. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do about 2 and 2, I think, for the frames. So we'll do 2 frames of squash. So at frame 3, I'll squash this down. You'll see it's already floating here, but since I have this set to 0 out at 0, 0, I can just set Y to 0. It'll come right back down to the floor. And instead of having to deal with scale, I can use squash and stretch here to just squash that down. Then at frame 6, I could do the same. Just Y to 0 and stretch to 1. So now we're squashing and we're stretching. Now that's a bit extreme here as well. That's a big stretch and a big squash. I could dial these back. So if I hit play and I look at that and it's like, well, that's way too much. I could maybe come in here and just be like, okay, instead of -10, maybe we'll come down here to something like 2.5. So now instead of having to just arbitrarily guess the amount, I can actually put in the exact amount I want. I'm actually using 2.3 there. And then I can do the same with stretch. Maybe I just wanted to stretch a little, something like 3.8, and then we can get a feel for it jumping. Now I might want a little bit more exaggeration in there, a little bit more squash maybe. I feel like the stretch is probably okay. So let's come to the tail end of this, get this to do its thing here with squashing and stretching. Since this is going to loop, I want it to start and end at the same time. So I'm going to come in here to 21, and we'll just squash this down. It's okay if it's not the same amount of squash on return. We could actually have it maybe be more. And we could even do the same with the stretch. You can also play around with the timing. No reason it has to be linear and uniform. And you'll see now we're getting our squash and stretch really quick here. But you'll notice how much easier that was with a rig. So rig makes animation easy, okay? Very quick to get to this point compared to our brute force animation. Notice we don't have any of those in-between frames. We have the ability to very easily adjust this, edit it, and that's going to be what we want to give to our animators so they can make beautiful animations. And not just that, we have a lot more control over that squash and stretch. We don't have to guess it right the first time in our manual input. Okay, so that's going to be bringing in your rigs. Make sure you're using in references there. And as a challenge, what I want you to do is reference in your rig and try animating it. Try animating your rig to see if you can make it work. All right. We're going to take a look at a couple more animation tools to help us out, and then we'll do another animation exercise next. So let's get to it.